with stuff that you already know. Working on positives and negatives. If I have two positives, of course, that's just a positive. That's just regular multiplication. Knowing that we can multiply in any order, I'm just going to write this in one way. Positive times negative equals a negative. And of course, we could flip that negative times positive. It doesn't matter which one comes first. Okay, so just a quick review of the rules, right? If we multiply positive times a negative, we get a negative. If we multiply two negative numbers, our answer is positive. Ooh, it's having trouble focusing. Look at it go. All right, I guess I found its spot. Now, that's something that we've been working on for a while, these rules, starting in 6th grade. So we are going to make it a little more algebraic, but we'll start with a simple example. First of all, remember that the book often uses parentheses. There's nothing to do inside the parentheses. This is just highlighting that one of the numbers is a negative. So it's not a minus, it's a negative, right? And we are multiplying, and we would get negative 28 in this case. So that's just kind of the simple part of it. Let's make it a little more algebraic. How about negative 3x times negative 5y? First of all, I have two negatives. So what's my answer going to look like? Brian?
Positive.
Positive, right? Now, if you want to put a plus symbol to remind yourself, you can. It's not wrong to have that. We just normally can leave it off. But think about what this means. This is negative 3 times x in the first parentheses times the next parentheses, which is negative 5 times y. Now, I'm breaking it down like this just so you can see the why. You don't have to do this in your homework. But the reason why we get the answer that we're going to get is because all of these are things being multiplied. There's no addition or subtraction here, right? It's all multiplication. So if I separate it out as all multiplication, maybe now you can see that all we're going to do is use the commutative property. I'm going to reorder it, and I'm not even going to rewrite it. I'm just going to take my first two numbers. If I was going to rewrite it, I'd write these two together. Negative 3 times negative 5 is, there's my positive 15 times x times y. I just push it all together. When I'm multiplying, the terms do not have to be alike. We can multiply anything. Now, the standard way to write an answer like this, number first. If you push it all together, the number has to come first. And then for the variables, if there's more than one letter, alphabetical order. Okay, Daniel, can you pick up that sweatshirt? It's not uniform. Thank you. So just keep in mind that you can multiply these things even if they are not like terms. Now, be careful because the book is going to throw in a few little addition or subtraction ones just to make sure you know what you're doing. Here I've got the plus symbol. It's not being multiplied. So now you've got to remember the rules for adding or subtracting. With like terms, it's the same. When the signs are different, I subtract. I keep the sign of the bigger digit. Now, technically, this is how many p's? Negative what? Jim? Negative 1p. If you write it like this, that's fine. But just know that I will have an answer that looks like this. Because that one we don't need to write. Okay, you can write it if you want, but you don't need it. So just be aware that every so often there might be a problem that slips in a little addition or subtraction. And so then you have to just remember the rules for that. They are different than the rules for multiplying. Okay, next. The distributive property with negatives. Because the distributive property means multiplying. This is a negative 2 that I'm going to distribute. And here's the important thing with a problem like this. To take everything, including the sign, and distribute it or multiply it. Take the sign with the 2. The negative goes with the 2. They stay together. So when we multiply, I'm going to multiply negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Now for the second piece, think about this minus here goes with this term. So the easiest way, I think, the easiest way to think about it, it's -2 times negative or minus 3. Negative times negative makes a positive. -2 times -3 times y, positive 6y. Now the other way you could have thought about that, -2 times x, -2x. You could just keep the minus, but then you'd go -2. We've already looked at the minus. If you just carry the minus down, now it's -2 times 3y. -2 times 3 makes -6y, and I have minus a negative. Are these two things the same? Yes. Because think about if we were going to add the opposite, I'd go add opposite. They would both be positive, which is what we have. What is not, so either one of these is correct. This one is more simplified, so I would prefer this. What is not correct is this. This is not correct. Either minus a negative or plus, but not minus a positive 6. Okay, so just be careful with your negatives. I say keep it with the term that it goes with, because that's going to be easier. Okay, final example. And here we're going to throw in, like I said, some subtraction, just to try and test you to see if you know what you're doing. So I have some subtraction. I have 3p minus 4 times the quantity p minus 2. So first question is, what is being multiplied by the parentheses? Which part is being multiplied by the parentheses, Diego? Okay, good. Just this. This is a subtraction sign, right? So it's really just this. And I'm going to go further. Diego said 4. I'm going to say keep the negative with it. And this is what we're going to distribute. It's not the whole thing. It's 3p minus all of this. So guess what? The 3p just stays there and waits. Now, -4 times p, -4p. -4, now again, I'm going to suggest you keep this minus in here with the sign, the term that it goes with. -4 times -2, positive 8. Are there any like terms I can simplify? CJ?
3p.
Okay, good. If I have 3 and I take away 4, CJ, what am I left with?
-p.
Good. -p plus 8. You got to have that negative. 3 minus 4 is -1. If you want to write -1p, that's fine. But it's got to be a negative. Okay, so that's really where it kind of combines the multiplication, the distributive property, and a little bit of addition subtraction with like terms all together. Okay, that's it though. That's it for today.